بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. So you can see the name of the matin here, تدريب السالك لقراءة أقرب المسالك في مذهب الإمام مالك. So the format of the class will be, after welcoming everybody, we'll be talking about the curriculum, the method that we will follow in this class. It will be a 1 hour class twice a week, Monday and Tuesday. And hopefully we'll be able to cover all the materials in the book. What makes this book very important is that it is not only ritual. So it will start with Aqidah, this which we will go through today, theology. It will be a short introduction in theology. And after the theological part, we start to talk about the purification, prayer, and fasting, zakat. But it does not stop there only. It also talk about trade, mortgage, renting, giving a riba, selling and buying in credit. So it has a dense material, and I hope that all of us will enjoy it. It will be a fiqh differently. After we cover the prayer part, we will start to see practical example and practical fiqh in Islamic finance, and try to make some connection with some of the practices that Islamic banks are following that took their roots from fiqh. So after this short talk about the method that will follow, I will be talking about the author. The author is not famous, but he is a great scholar from Saudi Arabia, from Al-Ahsa precisely. The Maliki madhab is spread in that area, and it used to be spread in the Emirate and Kuwait and Bahrain. And the Sheikh was one of the teachers of the Maliki madhab who traveled. He passed away. He was born in 1886, I think, 1886 or 66, around that time. And he passed away in 1941. So he traveled to Dubai, he traveled to Kuwait, to Al-Basra, teaching Maliki Fiqh and training scholars in general as judge. So that's about the author. About the book is a summary of the major sources of the Maliki Fiqh. So to have an idea about the importance of the book, if you can see what appear in front of you now, I will try to comment that. So the Maliki Fiqh naturally comes from Imam Malik. Imam Malik is the first teacher of the Maliki madhab. So this, but the books that Imam Malik authored, the books that have made to modern day, is only we only have one book, which is the Muwatta of Imam Malik. The Muwatta of Imam Malik, as you can see here on your right, is authored by Imam Malik himself, who passed away in 179. So the Muwatta is a collection of hadith, and a collection of hadith that Imam Malik believed that it is authentic, and he organized the hadith in according to the chapters of fiqh. So you have a chapter of knowledge, Then you have the chapter of wudu, the chapter of prayer, the chapter of fasting, zakat, war, peace treaty, trade, riba, freeing slaves. So that's how Imam Malik ordered his book. And the order of Imam Malik made it to late to Imam Bukhari. The order of Imam Bukhari, the order that we see in Sahih Bukhari, is almost a development of the order of that Imam Malik started in the Muwatta. But because the Muwatta of Imam Malik is primarily a book of hadith, those who reported the Muwatta, around 500 students that we know who reported the Muwatta, all of them were not Maliki. So they were not interested in the opinion, the fiqh opinion of Imam Malik. They were interested in the hadith of Imam Malik. And we see some example of the riwayah, the narration of Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani of the Muwatta. Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani is a student of Imam Abu Hanifa, who went to report the Muwatta from Imam Malik. But because he followed a madhab himself, he reported only the hadith of Imam Malik. So when you take the riwayah of Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, can you hear the background noise? Can you hear the background noise of Hamza talking?
I think it's fine, Imam. It's very far away noise.
Okay, so yeah, let me try to. So Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani only took the hadith, and when you look at his riwayah, you don't see the opinion of Imam Malik. If you compare the narration of Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani and the narration of Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, who came from Spain to take the Muwatta from Imam Malik, you see that the narration of Yahya ibn Yahya had the hadith and also the fiqh opinion of Imam Malik. He had the fiqh opinion of Imam Malik in the book. So the Muwatta is a primary source of the fiqh, the Maliki fiqh. Then after the Muwatta, you have the Al-Mudawwana Al-Kubra, or the Mudawwana, which is was compiled by Sahnun. Sahnun used to live in Qayrawan in Tunisia, in modern Tunisia. He heard the Muwatta first from Asad ibn Furat, one of the students of Imam Malik, but he wanted to go to the source, so he made a trip to Egypt and heard it from the student, the older student of Imam Malik, Ibn Qasim, who was in Egypt. So Sahnun took from Ibn Qasim the fiqh of Imam Malik, and he went back to Qayrawan. And this book that he took from Ibn Qasim became another major source of the Maliki fiqh called Al-Mudawwana. And then you have another book also called Al-Wadiha. Al-Wadiha is authored by Ibn Habib, who lived in Spain, in Andalusia. He collected the fiqh opinion of Imam Malik. So that's another major source. And then you have Al-Utbiyya, which is also another source from another great scholar who lived in Spain. Al-Utbiyya is Al-Utbiyya is the author lived in Spain. I forgot his name. Al-Utbiyya. Yeah, Abu Abdullah Muhammad al-Utbi died in 255. And then you have al-Majmu'a of Muhammad ibn Ibrahim ibn Abdus, who lived in Kairouan, and he died in 260. And then you have al-Mawaziyah of Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ibrahim ibn Ziyad from Alexandria, from Egypt, who died in 269. So these are the first line of the sources of the Maliki Fiqh. These are the major sources, the Ummahat. Then you have, next to them, you have the commentary, the explanation of Al-Muwatta. There's a lot of them. The great commentary of Al-Muwatta is Tamheed of Ibn Abdul Barr, which is one of the greatest books ever written in the history of Islam. Not only the history of the Maliki Fiqh, but the history of fiqh in general, because Ibn Abdul Barr mentioned in the Tamheed the opinions of other scholars like Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad, and even it goes back to the different opinions of the Sahaba. And then you have the commentaries on the Mudawwana, and then you have Al-Bayan wa Tahsil, which was first interested by Al-Utbiyya. Al-Bayan wa Tahsil is written by Ibn Rushd, that we know by the name of Averroes, but not the philosopher, not the Ibn Rushd philosopher. Is called Ibn Rushd al-Jad. He is the grandfather of the famous philosopher, commentator of Aristotle, Ibn Rushd or Averroes. And it is a great source of fiqh in general, and especially the Maliki fiqh, because Spain that time was very developed in terms of jurisprudence and law and law in general. And then you have Al-Nawadir wa Ziyadat of Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani. So these are the second line of the sources of the Maliki Fiqh. And then after that, you have scholars who came and they found that these sources are so huge, the information there is dense. They wanted to compile them in one book and make it accessible. So you have Ibn Shash in his book Aqd al-Jawahir al-Thamina, right? It compiled the major source information. And then you have another great scholar from Egypt that we are familiar with in the Usul al-Fiqh, Ibn al-Hajib. Ibn al-Hajib is a great scholar of fiqh, a great scholar of Usul al-Fiqh, and a great scholar of Aqidah, and a great scholar of Nahu and Sarf. He is an amazing person. He has the compilation of the major source, Mukhtasar al-Ummahat. Then after that, some scholars came and say that they want to summarize what has been compiled by those scholars. You have Khalil, who will summarize mostly the Mukhtasar al-Ummahat of Ibn Hajib, but added from other sources. And but what Khalil did is was great. It is the summary of the most reliable opinion in the Maliki Fiqh, but it is so condensed that is hard to understand it without an explanation. But another thing that Khalil did is that it was not always conclusive. Sometimes it will mention two opinions, or it will say that it is debated without choosing a side or without mentioning what is the most the sound opinion when it is debated. So another Maliki scholar who died in around 1786 from Egypt, Tadreeb, he came and he authored a book that he called Aqrabul Masalik, which is a kind of summary and explanation of Mukhtasar Khalil. That book, great book, which is Aqrab al-Masalik, was summarized finally by the Sheikh Abdul Aziz Ibn Hamd al-Mubarak al-Tamimi, that in the Tadreeb Assalik that we will be reading. So it is an important book. Inshallah ta'ala, we will benefit from it. And we have the permission of one of the great grandsons of the author, who is Sheikh Naif Ibn Abdul Rahman al-Mubarak, who has a YouTube channel dedicated for Maliki Fiqh. He also had a website for that. And he read this book directly to Sheikh Abdul Hamid Ibn Mubarak al-Sheikh, who is a student of the student of the author. That's what related to the book. And as I mentioned, the book will not only cover ritual, it will go to trade, business, and many topics of life. Now, after that, I think that we are ready to go. So the format will be Majid will read the text in Arabic, and I will explain that in English, inshallah. So Majid, you can go ahead, read the introduction.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رسول الله. يقول الشيخ المؤلف رحمه الله ونفعنا بعلومه وعلومكم. الحمد لله الذي جعل العلوم الشرعية أعلى ما تسمو إليه الهمم العلية، وأنفس ما تتنافس في اقتنائه النفوس الزكية. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، المتعالي في قدسه، الذي قامت به الأشياء وهو القائم بنفسه. وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدًا عبده ورسوله، الذي شرف قدره على جميع المخلوقات وسما، القائل إنما بعثت معلما. اللهم صل وسلم عليه وعلى آله الكرماء وصحبه الفخماء.
So basically, the author is praising Allah, who made the Islamic science, Islamic studies, the highest and most important of what a believer should direct his effort to learn toward, and one of the best thing that the soul can acquire. That's in general. We'll not translate that literally, because it's an introduction, is not the core of the book. So it's praising Allah for that, and then sending peace to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who said in a hadith reported by At-Tirmidhi that I was sent, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا, I was sent as a teacher. So yeah, go ahead, Majid.
وبعد فمرتبة الفقه في علوم الدين غير محتاجة إلى التبيين، ويكفي قول الصادق الأمين من يرد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين.
So he said that to proceed the level, the rank of fiqh in among the field of Sharia, the field of religion, does not need to be explained because it is known. And it is enough to suffice to show the importance of fiqh, suffices to show the importance of the fiqh, the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever Allah wants good for him, it will make him learn the fiqh of the deen. يفقهه في الدين, it will make him have an understanding of the deen.
وقد سنح لي أن أقتطف من أقرب المسالك ما يتدرب به إليه السالك مقتصرا عما يتعلق بالأقضية والشهادات والحدود وبعض ما يقل وقوعه في هذا الزمن كالجهاد والمكاتبة وأشياء يتنبه لها ذو الفطن.
So he said that he had the opportunity to take from the Aqrab al-Masalik. We have seen that Aqrab al-Masalik is from Tadreeb, and Aqrab al-Masalik is actually, the translation of the name of the book, Tadreeb Assalik, is training of the wayfarer, the person who is traveling, to the nearest pathway. Masalik is pathway in the Maliki madhab. So he said that he had the opportunity to take some, to have some idea, write some things from the Aqrab al-Masalik, the nearest path to the Maliki Fiqh of Tadreeb. He used what a person who's engaged on a journey to learn fiqh will need to for his training. And he said that I have limited I did not include in that what is not common in those days, in his days, like judgment, court, fiqh, and witnesses, the conditions of witnesses and the fiqh of witnesses, and the limit, the corporal punishment related to some offense and some crime in Islam. These were not common in that time. Remember that the author passed away in 1941. It was not common in that part where he lived that time. So it did not include much of it. It put some of it, but it did not include a lot of that. And also some of topic related to jihad and freeing slaves, because there's no more slave. And so yeah, go ahead, Majid.
وقد استحسنت التصدير بمقدمة في العقيدة كافية للمبتدئين مفيدة.
So he said that I found it good to make a preface, an introduction with an introduction about Aqidah. Aqidah is theology that will be enough for the beginners. So it's not advanced theology. It is a beginner's theology that will be beneficial for anyone who reads it. So yeah, go ahead.
فأقول مستمدا من الملك الجليل التوفيق للإخلاص وقصد السبيل وهو حسبي ونعم الوكيل.
So he said that I said taking energy, asking strength from Allah, and asking that this work be sincere to him, and then his objective is Allah, and Allah, he put his trust in Allah, and Allah is enough for him. So we're not to read, for the sake of time, I think that we will not go read the English part. Let's go directly to the Aqidah part. I will stop this sharing here and share another document for the text. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Majid.
So, ما يجب اعتقاده في حق الله تعالى مقدمة في ذكر العقيدة. أول واجب على المكلف أن يعلم أن لا إله إلا الله، أي لا إله في الوجود معبود بحق إلا الله.
So this is an introduction about the Aqidah. The first obligation that a person who's a responsible person in the sight of Allah, the first thing to know is that there's no God but Allah, which means that there's no God in, we believe that there is no God in existence who is truly, who deserve to be worshipped, who truly deserve to be worshipped except Allah. So that's the meaning of La ilaha illallah. There's a debate among theologians, the ma'rifatullah, knowing Allah, is it a wajib shari? Is it a religious obligation or an intellectual obligation? Wajib aqli or wajib shari? Ma'rifat wujudillah. For the majority, the Asha'ira and the majority, it is a wajib shari. What is the difference? The wajib shari is that it's a religious obligation. It means that if a person lives in a place where he does not have access to Islam, he did not know anything about Islam, that person is not responsible for anything. Even if that person does not know the existence of God, he will not be responsible, because knowing God is a wajib shari, is a religious obligation, and you don't have access to religion, so it will not be, you're not responsible. Allah will not hold you accountable. For Imam Abu Hanifa, knowing Allah, the existence of God as one God, is a wajib aqli, which means that if a person has a sound mind, it is an intellectual obligation. So a person who does not know about Islam, never heard about the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, live in a place where has no access to communication, that person will be only responsible for knowing the existence of God, because the existence of God does not depend on a religious message. It only depends on having an intellect. If you have a sound mind, you should know that you came from, your existence need an origin, and that origin, so you should know that you came from somewhere. You should know that the world is the source of existence is an entity. You may not know the name of that entity, but you, by your intellect, you can reach that. And this is what we see with some philosophers who do not believe in a religion, but they believe in God. Go ahead.
وأنه واحد لا شريك له ولا نظير له.
So Allah is one. He does not have an associate, and he does not have anything equal to him.
وأن له الغنى المطلق، بمعنى أنه قائم بنفسه لا يفتقر إلى ما سواه، بل ما سواه إنما قام به.
So he is independent, is absolutely independent, independent. It does not need anything. That's what mana qa'imun bi nafsi is, self-established. His establishment, his existence, it does not stem from anything else, and it does not need anything else, and everything else needs him, and everything else is sustained by him.
وأنه مخالف لما عداه بمعنى أنه لا يشبهه شيء من خلقه.
So Allah is different from anything else, which meaning that nothing is like him. It is not compared to anything else. Is totally separated from his creation, from everything.
وأنه قديم لا أولية لقدمه وأنه باقي لا انتهاء لأبديته.
So Allah is eternal. Eternal meaning here, it does not have a beginning. It is eternal, and his beginning does not have it does not have a beginning. There's no لا أولية لقدمه. Is the fact is existence does not have a beginning. That's how we can translate it. And then is everlasting. So everlasting means that it does not end. His existence will not end, and his existence did not start. Some you may see in some website that Qadim, you cannot use Qadim referring to Allah. That's an old debate that is not really important, because usually Qadim in Arabic is ancient. And when you say ancient, you mean that something has a beginning but is old. Ancient does not mean eternal. So some scholars have objected the use of Qadim. They say that the Qadim is using Qadim describing Allah is just a writing of the Asha'ira. Indeed, the Asha'ira and the scholars of Kalam use that a lot, Qadim, talking about Allah. But what they mean by Qadim is that is eternal. It does not have a beginning. They don't mean that he's ancient, but he has a beginning. So this debate is not really an important debate. And knowing that there is even a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, وَبِسُلْطَانِكَ الْقَدِيمِ, right? Talking about Allah and your authority that is qadim, that is eternal. So if the Prophet used that in a hadith, it should be okay to use that in a hadith, in Aqidah. Go ahead.
وأنه حي وله حياة وأنه مريد وله إرادة وأنه قادر وله قدرة وأنه عالم له وله علم وأنه سميع وله سمع وأنه بصير وله بصر وأنه متكلم وله كلام.
So he said that Allah is living and he has life. He has a will, and he has he wills things. He wants them to happen, or he wants them not to happen. That's the will of God. And he has a will. Murid lahu irada is powerful. He has power. He is knowledgeable. He has knowledge, and he's all hearing, and he has a hearing attribute. He sees, and he has a sight. He speaks, he talks, and he has a speech. He has what? So this may not, we may wonder why he's saying that Allah is alive and he has life. It may not be clear to us, but what is this is important even in modern day, and it was important during the time where the Mu'tazila were strong. They were supported by the state, the Abbasi state. The Mu'tazila is a school of thought in theology that is heavily influenced by Greek philosophy. they were developed when Greek philosophy was translated into Arabic, and there was a lot of intellectual activities in philosophies in Baghdad. So the Mu'tazila, they say that Allah is the denied what the Asha'ira called the Sifat al-Ma'nawiyya, the only established Sifat al-Ma'ani. But the most important here is that they say that Allah, for example, is knowledgeable, but it does not have knowledge. Why did they say that? They deny Allah having knowledge. They say that if you say that Allah has knowledge, the knowledge of Allah, you have to say that the knowledge of Allah is eternal or it is not eternal. If you say that the knowledge of Allah is created, is not eternal, that's problematic because it is related to Allah. So it means that Allah existed in a time when it did not have knowledge, right? So you cannot say that the knowledge of Allah is created and it happened sometime. But if you say that the knowledge of Allah is not created, the knowledge of Allah is eternal, so you have an additional entity that is eternal as Allah. So you have two eternal entities. You have Allah and His knowledge. So that's what philosophy does to people, right? So because of that, they deny Allah's knowledge. And the author here is reiterating what, by the way, this is a Ash'ari Aqidah, but Ash'ari, the Ash'ari has two branches. The Ash'ari has the Aqidah in the branch that that does not make ta'wil, and then you have the branch that make ta'wil. Here, the Ash'ari here is the Ash'ari that does not make ta'wil. So that's why you will see very soon that it does not make ta'wil. But the expression are Ash'ari expression. So the Ash'ari, they will say that it is important that we believe that Allah is is knowledgeable, and He has knowledge because the Quran implies that. So what is the answer of the Ash'ari to the Mu'tazila saying that if you say that the knowledge of Allah is eternal, it means that you have two eternal entities, and you have many eternal entities, you become like a polytheist. The answer to that is that the attribute is not the essence. Right? They say that الصفة ليست بعين ذات ولا غير ذات. So the attribute of a person is not the essence of that person, and it is not also separated from the essence too. So your knowledge is not, your knowledge is not you, right? Your knowledge is not you. But your knowledge also is not separated from you. So they say that the knowledge of Allah is not Allah, but the knowledge of Allah is not also separated from Allah because it is His attribute. Modern day Bart Ehrman, in his book, How Did Jesus Become God? He talked about that, and he understood from some passages in the Bible that at a certain time, some Jewish people were believing in many different gods, and he gave that example. He said that some passages talk about the knowledge of God. So the knowledge of God is something else, and God is something else. So you have two entities. But how do you know that what the Asha'ira has come with to say that the attribute is not the essence and it is not other than the essence too? So go ahead, Majid.
وأن جميع الصفات التي وصف بها نفسه في كتابه أو صحت عن نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كالوجه والعين واليدين والاستواء على العرش والنزول إلى السماء الدنيا والمجيء يوم القيامة ثابتة وإنما هي على الوجه الذي يعلمه والمعنى الذي يريده لا كما تتصوره الأفكار من صفات المحدثات فالله يجل عن ذلك لأن الصفة فرع الذات فكما نؤمن بوجود الذات المقدسة من غير تمثيل ولا تكييف فكذلك الصفات.
So he said that okay, we believe that all the attributes that Allah has described himself with in the Quran or it came in a hadith, they are like the face of Allah, eye, like face, eye, and two hands, and being established on the throne and descending to the heavens, to the heavens of this world, and the coming on the day of judgment. All these are established. They are as Allah described. But they are according to the way Allah knows and the meaning that Allah knows, not like we imagine in our thought, right? To be of the attributes of the creation, because Allah is high above that. And because also the attribute is related to the essence, to the that. So the attribute of Allah is related to Allah. So we cannot imagine the attribute of Allah to be like the attribute of his creation, but the attribute that came from the Quran and say that Allah has face and Allah has eye, that's according to the meaning that Allah wants. We accept that and we do not go into details. So this is what the Asha'ira call the Tafweed. It is close to the Athari Aqidah of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah and most of the Salafi today. It is close, but it has some difference. The difference that is that you don't detail that. You say he did not say that they are literal. Because he says thabita. It says that they are established. We accept that, but we don't detail if it's literal or it is metaphoric. All this we don't know. We never know. So we accept that, and that becomes the tafweed. And other mentions is close to the Athari, if not almost the same. And that's it in opposition to the other trend in the Ash'ari, which is the Ta'wil. In the Jawharat Tawheed of Jawharat Tawheed, which is a major poem of Ash'ari Aqidah, it said, وَكُلُّ نَصٍ أَوْهَمَ تَشْبِيهَ أَوِّلْهُ أَوْ فَوِّدْ وَرُمْ تَنْزِيهَ, right? So you have two ways. Any text that came, and if you want to understand it literally, it will cause some problem. You may fall in equating Allah with his creation. You have the option to make a ta'wil, interpret that, or you have the option of accepting it as it is without details and just make an intention. Your intention, your goal is that you want to have a tanzih. You have to you want to sanctify Allah, the name of Allah, from being like a human being. So you have the two trends in the Ash'ari madhab, but the best, like Jawhara said, وَكُلُّ خَيْرٍ فِي اتِّبَاعِ مَنْ سَلَفَ, all good is to follow what the Salaf has said. The Salaf is that you don't, you accept it, you don't make the ta'wil, and you don't make the details. So he says, فَكَمَا نُؤْمِنُ بِوُجُودِ الذَّاتِ الْمُقَدَّسَةِ مِنْ غَيْرِ تَمْثِيلٍ وَلَا تَكْيِيفٍ فَكَذَلِكَ الصِّفَاتِ. So the same way we believe in the essence of God without equating him or giving example to him, the same way we believe in the attribute. Yeah, go ahead.
وقد قال الإمام أحمد بن حنبل رحمه الله تعالى: كل ما يخطر ببالك فالله بخلاف ذلك.
Yeah, that's attributed to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that everything that comes to your mind, Allah is above that, different than that. Because our mind is shaped by our existence, right? You cannot think beyond your limit.
وقد قال الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى: آمنت بما جاء من عند الله على الذكر في حقيقة ذاته.
So this is also reported by Imam Shafi'i. We say that I believe in everything that came from Allah in the Quran or in the Hadith, according to what Allah wants, but our mind cannot understand and cannot think about the literal meaning of the literal essence of Allah, or the real essence of Allah, because our mind is limited and cannot grasp the essence of the attributes of Allah. They can grasp the attribute of Allah or His essence. Oh, that's the English part. I think that if we put that in the group, people can go back and read it for the sake of time. Okay, let me put the second, the third. I will share the third document. Okay, here. Everybody see the document? Okay, Bismillah, go ahead.
You can go in presentation mode.
Oh, yeah.
وأن الله صمهم عن الصغائر وأوحى إليهم وجعل منهم رسلا مبلغين عنه.
So he said that Allah has chose from the children of Adam prophets, and then He has safeguarded those prophets from minor and major sins, and He has revealed to them, and He had made among them messengers that are conveying His message.
وأن نصفهم I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Bismillah.
وأن نصفهم بالأمانة والصدق والفطانة وأنهم بلغوا ما أمرهم الله بتبليغه.
So what he's doing here is talking about the attributes of prophets. So in a traditional Ash'ari Aqidah book, they will divide it into ilahiyat, related to God and his attribute, and nubuwat, related to the prophet and the attributes of prophets. What should we believe about prophets? And then you have the third part that they will call ghaibiyat, the unseen, what will happen on the day of judgment, the grave, the soul, all this. So here you can see he is now in the second part, the second part of Aqidah, which is prophet. So Allah, he said that Allah has chose prophet from the children of Adam. There's a lot here. So prophet from the children of Adam only, or you have prophet from jinn. There's a debate. Some say that the prophet are from jinn, prophet of jinn are only for jinns, but the prophet of you and the prophet of human are only for human, except Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was sent to human and jinn. But this is problematic with the ayat of Surah Al-Ahqaf, and so what the jinn said, that we have heard a book that was revealed after Musa. Right? This implies that they were following Musa. So it seems that it may be safe to say that prophets, jinns have their prophet, and humans have their prophet. And usually humans' prophet are for human only, except few prophets, maybe Musa, as mentioned in as implied in Surah Al-Ahqaf, and Jesus as implied in Surah Al-Jinn, and then Muhammad as clearly mentioned in I think in the Quran and Hadith, is sent to human and jinn. And then the second thing is that he said, وَعَصَمَهُمْ عَنِ الصَّغَائِرِ, Allah has safeguarded prophet from committing minor and major sins. Here there's a debate what majority of scholars believe. Asha'ira, Athariya, as Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, most scholars believe that prophets are only safeguarded from committing major sin. Ma'sumin anil kabair. As for minor sin, they are not safeguarded from committing them, so they can commit that because that's part of being a human being. And you see, for example, Adam, وَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. He had disobeyed Allah, and that's a sin. The Quran says that. And Adam is a prophet. And Musa, he said that إنه من عمل الشيطان إنه. Can somebody help me with the ayah, Surah Al-Qasas? After pushing the Egyptian, and the Egyptian died, and he said that this is from this.
إنه عدو مضل مبين.
Yes. So this implies that he committed a sin, right? And he asked for forgiveness, because he will not ask for forgiveness if it's not a sin. And then the ayah, لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ. So if the prophet does not have a minor sin previous, what is the meaning of Allah will forgive you something that you did not have? So that's why majority scholars say that they're not safeguarded, they're not ma'sumin from from the Sagha'ir, but they are Ma'sumin from the Kaba'ir only. But here, Sheikh went with the opinion that say that they are Ma'sumin from Sagha'ir and Kaba'ir. And then he revealed to them and he made them prophet. Here again, when he said that, اختار من بني آدم أنبياء, so the children of Adam, he chose Anbiya, prophets. And then he bed among the Anbiya, Rusul. So there's the difference between a Rasul and Nabi, even if scholars are debated what are those different, but the texts of the Quran and Hadith imply that there are differences. One of the most spread difference is that the Nabi is a minor prophet. The Nabi does not have a large community, and he does not have a book, and is not required to build a new community and establish around his message. That's why you can have many Anbiya in the same community or the same tribe, like Ibrahim and Lut, right? Ibrahim and Lut. Lut is the cousin of Ibrahim, or Ishaq, Ismail. They are in the same family, and Yaqub. Those are Anbiya. But a prophet, you have like Ibrahim, and then you have Isa, a long time. You have Musa, a long time, different community, different book. So this is some of the differences between a Rasul and a Nabi. And this is also why those who say that a woman can be prophet, like Ibn Hazm and Bukhari, according to what is implied in the Sahih Bukhari, and Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, Imam Ash'ari himself, and Qurtubi, and I forgot. Those who say that a woman can be a Nabi, one of the answer to وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا, they say that this is a Rasul. A woman cannot be a Rasul, but she can be a Nabi, and Maryam is among them. So then he went and said that وَنَصِفُهُمْ بِالْأَمَانَةِ, one of the Sifat al-Rusul is that they have to وَوَاجِبٌ لَهُمُ الْأَمَانَةِ. This is what the Jawhara said. It is obligated that we believe that prophets are trustworthy. They have amana, because if we don't believe in that, what is the weight of the message? The message will be shaky. And they tell the truth, they don't lie, and they have the fatana, they are smart, they cannot be, they are not they cannot be manipulated. So these are the sifat that we believe that Prophet Yajib, they must have that. And because of this sifat, we rejected the stories of some of the Israeliyat mentioned about Dawood, that he sent Uriah the Hittite, and he married Bathsheba, the mother of Suleiman, after he committed, if he was in an affair with her. And then the same thing to the stories of Lut with his daughter that are mentioned in the Bible. And also, that's why also the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ saying that Ma kadaba Ibrahim illa thalatha kadibat. Ibrahim did not lie except three lies. We believe that the lie there is not literally lie, is just a tawriya, a double intent, using a word that has two meaning and leaving your interlocutor, the person, your audience, to put a meaning in one of those the meaning that you want. Okay, just it's almost time, so just go quickly and we'll conclude very inshallah. Go ahead, Majid.
فأولهم آدم أبو البشر وآخرهم وآخرهم نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيد البشر الذي نسخ الله بشريعته الشرائع وجعله رسولا إلى الناس. It seems my connection is not stable. Did you hear me?
We hear there was we can hear now.
Okay. أولهم آدم أبو البشر وآخرهم نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم سيد البشر الذي نسخ الله بشريعته الشرائع وجعله رسولا إلى الناس كافة وختم به الأنبياء.
So the first of the prophet is Adam Abu Bashar, and then the last is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's the leader of the Bashar. And then by the Sharia of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all Sharia before him are abrogated. No one can follow a Sharia preceding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But again, there's a debate here about هل شرع من قبلنا شرع لنا, the debate that we have seen in the usul. Definitely, if the shara of those before us is contradict what the Quran mentioned, is not a shara for us. But if it is left, it does not contradict what the Quran or the Hadith mentioned. There's a debate among scholars. Some say that it is shara lana, and others say that it is not a shara lana. But in general, the Sharia of the Prophet ﷺ has abrogated all the Sharia before. Go ahead.
وأن القرآن كلام الله ليس بمخلوق.
So that's the opinion of the Sunnah. The Quran is the word of Allah, is not created. But the debate is here. What do we mean by the Quran here? Do we mean that the Mus'haf that is printed in the King Fahd Majma, and the year of the printing is mentioned there, is that also غير مخلوق? There is a long debate about that. Imam Bukhari got in trouble for saying that lafzi bil Qur'ani makhluq, which makes sense. He said that when I read the Quran, the sound that comes from my mouth, these are created because I'm created and my speak is created. He got in trouble with the students of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal because Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, to close the door in front of the fitna, he said that even when you say the Quran, you should say the Quran is غير مخلوق. It does not, no matter, you don't go to the detail. If the Quran that you say that غير مخلوق is the book written in the pages and or in goat skin or in papers, you say the Quran غير مخلوق. The Asha'ira, Imam Bukhari and many other scholars, Imam Bukhari and Muslim, and many other scholars say that no, it will make the difference. When we say that the Quran is not created, we mean the Quran that Allah has spoken, because that's the sifa of Allah, and the sifa of Allah is غير مخلوق. But the Quran that we see written in books, in papers, the papers are created because they are not the attribute of Allah. So that's in general. Some will say that Imam Bukhari did not say that, but that's clearly established that Imam Bukhari said lafzi bil Qur'an makhluq. Even Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah admitted that. Zahabi mentioned that in the Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, and many other scholars mention it. Those who reported that Imam Bukhari did not say it, there is a weak narration found in a Sunnah of al-Lalikai. The chain of transmitters is not reliable anyway. So go ahead.
وأن جميع ما كان في العالم أو يكون فبقضاء الله وقدره لا يتحرك متحرك ولا يسكن ساكن إلا بإرادته وسبق علمه.
So everything that is in this world that will happen, nothing will happen without the decree of Allah, and Allah has written it nothing can move without Allah knowing about it, moving it. Nothing can remain static without Allah intervening in it. Everything is by His will and His former knowledge. Here again, there's a problem when it says sabqa ilmihi, that's in relation to us. But because of in the sight of Allah, there's no past, there's no present or future. So there's no sabaq ilm in the sense of Allah. And that's why the qadar, when we say that the ilm of Allah is a sifa munkashifa, sifa غير مؤثرة. The knowledge of Allah is an attribute, uncovering attribute. It uncovers things. Is not an impacting attribute. It does not impact things. So when the qadar, Allah knows that somebody will do that, somebody will go to hellfire, does not impact that person to go to hellfire. Because when Allah know it, He know it in once. There is no past and present. He sees everything. Everything has already happened to Him. So His knowledge cannot really, His knowledge, it does not make sense to say that His knowledge impacts something. And some example that some scholars will give is that if you are a teacher in a classroom and you observe student and you observe that some student will fail and you wrote that in your diary that this student will fail, and you have and at the end the student failed and the student came to you and said that I failed because you knew that I will fail. You will say that that doesn't make sense. My knowledge or my me thinking that you will fail did not impact you. So Allah's knowledge does not impact, it uncover because He was there. It was there. It is not related to time, to past or present or future. So go ahead.
وأن الملائكة فريق من خلقه خلقهم لطاعته لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون.
And that angels are a creation of God. He created them to obey Him. They do not disobey Him. They do everything He orders them to do. So that's why we rejected also the idea that the Harut and Marut are two angels because they disobey Allah, and angel does not disobey Allah. And there's a hadith, the hadith that Ibn Hajar said that it is Hassan, is problematic, that implies that they are angels because it goes against the ayah that the author mentioned. How much is left, Majid? Can you tell?
I think this full page and another page.
So yeah, let's give it 5 minutes. Sorry for going beyond the 1 hour. So quickly, let's go.
وأن الناس يفتنون في قبورهم ولكن الله يثبت الذين آمنوا بالقول الثابت والقبر إما روضة من رياض الجنة وإما حفرة من حفر النيران.
So people will be tried, they will test it in the grave, and Allah will establish the feet firm, the feet of those who believe, and they will not be shaken in the grave. And the grave will be either a garden from the garden of Al-Jannah, a small taste of what you will get in Al-Jannah, or it will be a hole of hellfire, a small taste of what you will face in hellfire, depending on the person's deeds.
وأن العباد يبعثون ويحشرون إلى الموقف للحساب وتوضع الموازين لوزن أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره وقد يغفر الله ما شاء من الذنوب إما بعمل صالح أو بشفاعة من أذن له أو بمحض الفضل من أرحم الراحمين إلا الشرك فلن يغفره الله ولا كفارة له إلا بالتوبة منه قبل الموت.
So people will be gathered, resurrected and gathered to the place of judgment on the day of judgment, and there will be balance, and people will be paid, rewarded according to their deed, good for good, bad for bad, and Allah may forget whoever he wills, if that person asks for forgiveness, or even if that person does not ask for forgiveness, or if that person do a good deed, or if that person is given an intercession by a person that Allah has given permission to intercede, or just Allah forgive him out of nothing. Except shirk, Allah will not forgive shirk. There's no expiation for shirk except repentance before death.
وأن الصراط ينصب على متن جهنم تجوز عليه العباد فناج مسلم ومخدوش ومكردس في النار أعاذنا الله منها.
So there will be the sirat, the bridge on hellfire, and people will be passing through that bridge, and people will be either a person who's successful and safe, or a person who is crushed. He will make it to safety, but he will face some trouble, and some people will be crowded together and be thrown into hellfire. May Allah protect us.
وأن الجنة دار نعيم وخلود أعدها الله كرامة لمن آمن به واتقاه.
So the Jannah is an eternal blessing place. It does not end. Some people say that it ends, but the Sunnah is that it does not end. Allah has prepared that as a blessing, not generosity, karama, not because they deserve it. No one deserves the Jannah. That's why he used the word karama here. Again, you see, that's theology, and every word that is used has its weight.
وأن النار دار خلود أعدها الله عذابا لمن كفر به وعصاه ولا يخلد فيها إلا من أشرك بالله وكفر.
So hellfire is also eternal, and Allah has prepared that for those who disbelieve in Him, and also those who disobey Him. So you can believe in Allah and go to hellfire if you disobey Him, but no one will be stay eternal in hellfire except those who disbelieve in Allah. I think that, okay. Yeah.
ويجب عليه أن يؤمن بكل ما نص عليه الكتاب أو ثبت عن رسول رب العالمين.
So we need to believe that in everything that the Quran has said, or the hadith, authentic hadith from the Prophet ﷺ said.
وأن يوالي المؤمنين وأخصهم بالموالاة آل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And have guardianship or alliance to the believers. You don't ally with non-believers against the believers. But this implies that if the believers are true believers following the righteous Islam righteously, and especially be in alliance with the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
وليعرض عما شجر بينهم ويحملهم على أحسن المحامل.
So whatever has happened among the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have a good thought about that, and we don't go and judge among them. So we can, that's debated, but for the sake of time, I will not stop here. But in general, we can mention it, and we can, when some of them clearly go against what clearly is not the right thing, we can mention like Ammar taqtuluhu al-fi'atu al-baghiya. When Ammar died, we know that the rebellious group was Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu and his group, and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu was the authority, the righteous group. We know that, we can judge that, but to go and make a process of intention that these people are munafiq, did that and these are bad, that's what we don't do, and we have a good thought about them.
والصحابي من لقي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مؤمنا به.
A Sahabi is a person who met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, believing in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and dying as a Muslim. If he die, if he became a murtad, a Sahabi, if he became a murtad and accepted Islam before he died, there's a debate. For the Shafi'i, is a Sahabi. For the majority, is not a Sahabi.
وأن أفضل الصحابة أبو بكر الصديق ثم عمر الفاروق ثم عثمان ذو النورين ثم ابن عم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أبو الحسنين علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنهم أجمعين.
So the best of the Sahaba is Abu Bakr, followed by Umar, Uthman, and Ali ibn Abi Talib.
وأن السلامة في هذه العصور في تقليد أحد الأئمة الأربعة.
So in the recent day, the best thing to be safe is to follow one of the four imams, the four school of thought, because they have been studied and scrutinized for centuries, and it's not only one person's opinion. They are stable. And people see that in modern times. Those who did not follow them have seen their position shaking in the period of just 15 years or less. But the four madhahib are stable because they have been debated for centuries.
أبي حنيفة النعمان وعالم المدينة مالك وعالم أنس وعالم قريش محمد بن إدريس الشبل لأنهم أئمة الهدى.
Okay, so these are the four madhahib. Imam Abu Hanifa, the oldest one, followed by Imam Malik, then Imam Shafi, and Imam Ahmad. And وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين